Welcome, teachers. Today, we are going to dive into Georgia's ELA Standard 3 to 5.FF1. And we're not just going to talk about it, we're going to turn it into a concrete, actionable lesson that you can literally use in your classroom tomorrow. Let's build a powerful fluency routine step by step.
All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to follow that classic I do, we do, you do model, which I know you're all familiar with. We'll kick things off by really unpacking the standard. Then we'll walk through each part of the lesson, and finally we'll wrap it all up with some ideas for differentiation and how to know if your students have really got it.
Okay, first things first, let's break down what we're actually teaching. Because, fluency is so much more than just reading fast. It's really about building a bridge from just saying the words to actually understanding them.
And this right here, this is the key. Fluency is all about freeing up a student's mental real estate. Just think about it for a second. When a reader isn't stuck, struggling to sound out every single word, their brain suddenly has all this extra capacity to focus on what the text actually means. That's the magic bridge to true comprehension.
So the standard itself gives us these 4 essential pieces of the puzzle. You've got your foundation, right? That's automatic word recognition and accuracy. Then we build on that with expressive reading. That's a fancy word, prosody. And the absolute peak, the thing we're really aiming for, is getting students to notice their own mistakes and self-correct when the meaning gets fuzzy.
All right, let's get into the lesson itself. We're starting with explicit instruction. This is the I do phase, where you get to be the expert, the model for your students. And let me tell you, your modeling here is absolutely everything. You're not just giving them something perfect to copy. The real power move is this. You are taking the invisible, internal process of a skilled reader and making it totally visible and audible. You are literally showing them how it's done. So here's how it works. You're going to pick a short, engaging little piece of text. Then, and this is important, choose just one specific skill to zero in on. Maybe it's pausing at commas. You'll read it out loud, maybe even over-exaggerate that skill a bit, and then you'll think aloud, telling your students exactly what you did and why you did it. Something like, did you hear how I paused right there at the comma? That pause helped my brain separate the two ideas in that sentence. Using really direct and explicit language like this is so important. It sets a crystal clear purpose for their listening. You're basically taking an abstract idea like phrasing and making it a concrete thing they can listen for before you hand the baton over to them.
And that leads us perfectly into our we do phase. This is where we build that supportive scaffold around our students and let them practice with the safety net of having you and their classmates right there with them. Now, the handoff here needs to be quick. You want your students reading the exact same passage you just modeled, focusing on that exact same skill. This repetition is so powerful because it lowers their cognitive load. They don't have to worry about decoding new words, so they can pour all their energy into practicing that one fluency skill.
And you've got some great methods in your toolbox for this part. Echo reading is amazing for practicing expression, one line at a time. Choral reading is awesome for building confidence and a sense of community. And of course, partner reading gives students a chance to practice with a peer. The whole point is to give them a low-stakes way to try it out.
Okay, so we've practiced together, and now it's time for that gradual release of responsibility. We're moving into the you do, where students start to fly on their own and really take ownership of their own fluency journey.
This step is all about student agency. So before they start reading independently, have each student set a small personal goal. Maybe it's, I'm going to try to read smoothly without any long, awkward pauses, or I'm going to make my voice sound like the character who's talking. This makes the practice so much more meaningful for them.
And you can launch them into their independent work with a prompt just like this. It's great because it connects what they're about to do directly back to the goal they just set for themselves. It keeps them focused.
All right, now for the real test. Students are going to read a new, fresh part of the text that they haven't heard you read first. This is so important because it shows you if they can actually transfer that skill to an unfamiliar text. Their focus is on their personal goal and, most importantly, on listening to their own voice to make sure it sounds right and makes sense.
And really, that's what this is all about. This entire routine is designed to help students build an internal editor. We want them to get to a point where they hear themselves make a mistake, notice that the meaning is broken down, and have the confidence to go back and fix it all on their own. That right there is the sign of a truly fluent reader.
Of course, in any classroom, you've got a whole range of readers. So let's talk about how we can extend this lesson, how we can give a little extra support to our students who are still building their skills, and a little extra challenge for those who are ready for it.
Here are 2 really high-impact strategies. For students who sound a little choppy, explicitly teaching them how to chunk sentences into meaningful phrases can be a total game-changer. And for students who need a challenge, performance reading is amazing. Having them rehearse a text to perform it for an audience gives them a real purpose for reading and naturally builds their expression and automaticity.
Okay, deep breath. We've taught the lesson. Now for that final crucial piece. How do we know if it actually worked? How do we check to see if they're mastering the standard?
This table is basically your cheat sheet. It gives you a clear checklist of what mastery actually looks and sounds like in the wild. So when you're leaning in for a reading conference, you're listening for very specific things. Are they scooping up words into phrases? Are they paying attention to punctuation? And the big one, when they stumble, do they stop, recognize it, and go back to fix it? This turns assessment from just a gut feeling into something you can actually see and hear.
And if you want a super quick but really powerful check for understanding, use this question as an exit ticket. It's brilliant because it does 2 things at once. It gets students reflecting on their own learning, and it gives you a quick snapshot of who's on track and who might need a little extra help from you tomorrow.
And that's really all there is to it, a simple, repeatable routine that takes a big, complex standard and makes it manageable. By consistently moving from I do to we do to you do, you're not just teaching a skill for a test, you're building confident, capable readers who don't just say the words, they understand them. So, what do you think? Which fluency target are you going to model for your class tomorrow?